Do your due diligence, you guys. Question things. Listen to the intuition. Listen to the gut brain. Dr. Darrell always talks about the gut health and the health of your body. And this is a nice maybe starting place of how Pure Wave Cell can start helping with the human body. Your gut is a major component, if not most important in relationship to your immune system. Your gut and the gut biome, the health of your digestive system, we know directly influences your immunity and your health. It also influences your mood and how you resonate and feel and fly around your hive every day. The serotonin is produced in your gut. That's that gut brain connection, you guys. And so what I'm saying and encouraging all of you to do, to be brave with, is listen to your gut. Get the gut clean, get it cleaned out, detoxed, healthy, and rebuilt. But you have to listen to the gut feeling you have when things are true or not, or you're being fed a bunch of bullshit or not. That's that intuition, that gut, that's real. That's a real biochemistry connection. And there's a reason for that. So with that said, I wanted to start there, Brent, on the future of all this energy medicine is what information do we allow in that affects us and our harmony in our lives, our happiness, our health. And so I want to ask you, Brent, a question real quick. How has this understanding of the sacred design, understanding the quantum physics of this creation force for which has been developed into the cell, but it's also all around us in nature, how has that kept you rising above some of the chaos that is so easy to get caught up in? Because I know our listeners sometimes feel, I just can't, I turn it all off because I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed that the government's doing this. The chemical companies are doing this. I can't even go to the grocery store, and the taxes how has this knowledge helped you in your psyche? And I want to start there because the physical realm we'll get into, but let's start there because that's around us in the subconscious. How has it helped guide your consciousness and subconscious to stay aligned as a human being in today's world, moving in the future? How do we use this technology in the future, and how have you done it? Because you've done it really well, my friend.
Well, it's one of the most important questions, whether we ask it or not today, because of just what you said. What everybody that is listening, from one way or another, is faced with, either emotionally, mentally, physically, as you expressed. But what happened, and this, I think this will really resonate, and it's beautifully simple. Back, I would say it was about 12 years ago. I remember having this overwhelming feeling because, we had this information overload, everything you were saying, what we were up against, with our ecology, planet, politically. And I remember thinking on it and being the type of person that was always more solution oriented and thinking, geez, how do we tackle all this stuff? And overwhelmingly, I was sort of meditating on this, and it was like a perception came to me, and it came in a sentence that said, Brent, nature always wins, always. And I was like, what's up? And what it meant was, no matter what you and I think is happening right now and how imbalanced it is, whether it be in our society or in our ecology or in our food or in our medicine, is it only goes one way so far. And then a whole other balancing comes in and neutralizes it, because nature only works in what it works. It works in a succinct way, and it always wins. So you can take heart that no matter what we're up against right now that we perceive, there's a whole solution naturally that's coming for it. It may let it hit the wall. It may let it get extreme, and it may not be pretty when it swings back, but it always does. Always. So I'd like to say that to everyone out there, that I live by that. is that you can take heart and you can relax and take some deep breaths, knowing that nature will only let it go so far. So in our particular case, we're talking about things like food sources off balances, things that are happening to insects, things that are happening to us. So what we've done is we've gone back into nature, something that's in nature all around us through the geometric shapes and the way that it produces those frequencies on a geomagnetic frequency form, PMF, electronic magnetic frequencies. And we're using those in a very natural way. And what does it do? It completely starts to balance. So when we put it against food, if we have things like E. coli or Staphylococcus or whatever that's in our food, is we bring these algorithms in, and what does it do? It neutralizes them because it doesn't work. They're not natural. They're not working natural. So just like in our drug world or our medical world, where we're using all kinds of unnatural chemicals and chemistries that do one job, like they'll succinctly take care of a symptom, but not the cause. So nature doesn't work that way. It goes at the cause. So that's what it is, Jake. That was the one perception. It was a long answer, but it made me completely relaxed because I have full confidence and faith that nature will always win. There'll always be groups that'll come to solutions, and we've spent a lot of time in one area of solutions. So there'll be many, many others. So take heart, everybody.
Yeah. Nature knows. And that was nature. We're familiar. And this is something actually a great topic. The why it's so beneficial to ground and get your feet on the ground, the actual negative ion exchange. I mean, the whole nature knows, you guys. Nature doesn't lie. You made me think about something, Brent, very important, that part of what we're talking about is reconnecting with this divine source of nature, for which allows your body to do what it's designed to do. You were just talking about how this understanding, moving from the Newtonian to the more quantum physics, helps you reset, recalibrate, because ultimately the word, let's dissect the word. Speaking of dissection, let's dissect the word vocabulary of disease. Really, it's dis-ease. It is what manifests into a label. We're going to remove that paradigm. I'm going to play a little video right now. We might have played this actually the first introductory week, but it's going to make sense more. This is actually live right on docofdetox.com, guys. You can find this with the Be Brave show, but this is connecting what we're talking about with the Pure Wave cell, how it's being used. Then we'll share some applications regarding using it in the home environment, with animals, with humans, because I got a great question today about the human element component. And I do want to state something later specific to using the Pure Wave cell with the human body and where we are in our research and really what we can legally claim right now and what we can't. It's really important to know. See, I believe we need to be fearless and brave, speaking truth in the environment of the matrix that has the guided walls. You can do both, you guys. You can be smart. We're saying to be awakened with truth, yet also be able to function proactively and healthy in the environment where there's these constructive walls and barriers. Because you have to. You cannot, unless you want to check out, disconnect the internet right now, say goodbye. We'll say goodbye. We love you. And go up into the mountain and dig yourself a hole and make your fire and hunt. Hey, let me know. Come down. Let me know. Send me a text or page sometime. But we do have to function in the matrix, and it's okay to. But we're going to do it smart. We're going to do it smart. So check this out. Brent, I'm going to play the Pure Wave cell because it talks about this. It's just perfect timing. Yeah. And I think it's going to make sense even more now that you guys understand the some of the principles we've been talking about. And this, you guys, is right on Doc of Detox. There's the list here, the playlist, and this is under the Pure Wave cell. I am going to enlarge this and enjoy.
Welcome to the world of inventions for energy medicine. I'm Bea Broda. According to the Canadian Association of Professional Apiculturists, Canada lost almost 50% of their bee population in 2022. Researchers at the University of Waterloo feel insecticides are compromising the bee's immune system. Dr. Magda Havas, Professor Emerita at Trent University School of the Environment, believes magnetic fields also play an important role in the health and wellness of the honeybee population.
We did some research at Trent University where we were studying the effects of radiofrequency radiation on the bees. We had some beehives at a farm and exposed them to current household items that we have that emit wireless radiation. One of the things we noticed is that the bees started coming out of the hive very, very quickly.
You look at their behavior, they're all just quite happily, they're not running around, they're kind of very settled, they're fanning, they're keeping the place cool and protecting, as these ones are running up and down at the entrance. The sounds here is not normal.
Dr. Havas is participating in a long-term research study on the use of geomagnetic fields to enhance insect and human immune systems and negate the effects of environmental pollution that may be causing the collapse of the honeybee population. This research is based upon a geometric array of 12 high-intensity magnets that are encased inside a hard enclosure to create a pure wave cell. The opposing polarities of the magnets create a spiral vortex that emanate outwards in all directions. This spiral pattern can be observed with magnetic viewing film. Liquid ferrofluid placed in a dish on top of the pure wave cell shows the invisible, evenly spaced magnetic lines rising upwards. This is an internal view of the magnets. A pure wave cell can be used to control the growth of pathogens. The vortex suppresses bacterial infestation. Spores grown in a petri dish that were not exposed to the magnet shows a proliferation of fungal growth. A study has been completed at Pathogenia Food Laboratories to determine the efficiency to reduce pathogens in food. Brewer's yeast, E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Listeria were added to meat and fruit and then treated for 5 minutes on the magnetic disc. Ground chicken and raspberries were chosen for inoculation. This study demonstrates 3 forms of Listeria were not reduced in the chicken, but showed almost a 50% reduction in the raspberries. Surprisingly, 1 form of brewer's yeast grew 50% faster in the meat, while another was reduced a similar amount in the fruit. The various forms of E. coli were eliminated in the raspberries. And all forms of Staphylococcus have been significantly reduced. When you immerse food inside a pure wave, there are many examples of how it can prolong the shelf life. Here, cauliflower remains fresh after several days, while unexposed control samples show signs of food spoilage. Research on honey is carried out here.
The first year we had 10 magnets and we were quite happy with it. Last fall we ended up with 30 magnets in the 1 bee yard.
In this yard here, there's about 30 hives. This yard did not get the discs. And when I came in to unpack the hives, half the yard was dead, and the half that survived, there were barely any bees, and they were not looking good at all. And now in this yard, we wintered 30 hives in here. All 30 got the magnetic disc. When I unpacked it, all 30 were alive and overflowing with bees to the point where I had to split almost every hive in this yard. But it's swarming because they've run out of room. Like, it's just a super strong hive.
Dr. Havas feels that the magnets are improving the immune system of the honeybee as they move through the pure wave magnetic field while foraging for nectar in the farms and forest. Many beekeepers have great success with the magnets, not only having a healthy hive, but they have found an increase in the yield of honey. Education plays an important role with the company that produces the magnets. They organize workshops called 4R Bees to teach a new generation of potential beekeepers how to plant wildflower seeds in open pastures to help support the health and wellness of our insect pollinators. For more information on how you can help save the bees, visit 4R Bees.
All right, you guys. So that I want to just say something that when you support Doc of Detox and you order the honey, the pure wave honey in cells, it goes beyond also to support some of these endeavors that 4R Bees is doing. So I just want to let you guys know that you're all part of this solution. But I hope that gave context a little bit, Brent, on how this amazing frequency and shape and design and algorithm is making a difference in food preservation, pathogen neutralization, the bees. And we have yet to really endeavor, go down and publish some of our research we're doing on the human body, but that's underway. And there are certain claims we can and can't say about that. I know you guys understand that. And so we're just going to play above the line, and really we're not making any medical claims on the human body of your pure wave cells. At the same time, magnets have been used for centuries for increased circulation, pain management, and there are some really cool ways that we'll talk about how to use this in the human field. So Brent, any comments that you have on that?
Again, please. Just back to what we were talking. So again, in all our lives here, we're really, what I refer to it as the universal intelligence, right? Which is nature. The reason it works so perfectly is because it's been balanced off from how one frequency works to the other. I mean, everything, as we know, doesn't matter whether it's a rock, a tree, us, you, me, we're all made of the same thing. Quantum physics, we're all made of the same thing. It's just the difference is how we vibrate or what frequency we're at. So that is absolutely the clue of how we can balance everything. And it is all about balance, right? So, there's the one side that gets us all nervous and racked out. Then there's the other side that makes us so extremely ecstatic and happy. But somewhere in the middle is where we all attain to be, which is that sort of relaxed state. And so what we're really talking about here is bringing in a natural state to try and work off what we eat, what we ingest, how our bodies react, how our cells react. So using the principles that we talked about earlier from the that first on ancient symbols and why it matters so much, because the geometry is the construct or shape that we need to go to. That's one of the first building blocks. Then we need to glue it, and then that will alter frequency, just like with music, by hitting strings and different things at different sizes. What's interesting, most instruments, as you notice, they work off of 6 strings or 12 strings. And it's all back to what we have in the star tetrahedron in the flower of life, which works on 6s and 12s. So it's all in the math, but once we capture it, it's all in the nature. Right. So this is what we want to let you understand, is that you can take heart and you can relax. There's all kinds of solutions to the issues that we have today. So never think there isn't. Never think after you leave here that whatever you're up against or you see that there's no solution to it or there's no answer. That is farthest from the truth. It's just a matter of who's taking it on and which way we're approaching it.
Yeah. Well said. Sage, any questions, any comments? We want to let everybody get involved and ask questions or just share your thoughts on what's been spoken. Floor is yours, brother.
All right, so far we have two really good questions that I think. So one person has asked evolution, and this goes back to what you were talking about with like how the world always does kind of like a full 360. No matter what, like nature will come back to itself. And this is just a question like I'm actually curious in myself as well. Evolution has progressed so much. How do you know nature can swing back in the end without humans going extinct with where we are now? Because we are so advanced and we've had so much extra pollutions and EMFs out there in this day and age.
It's a really good question.
So the question.
Go ahead, Brent.
The question, I'll feed it back. The question is, how do we know that because of what humans are doing to such an extreme,
that we're not going to go extinct at this point?
That we're not going to go extinct before there's a solution to it. Is that right?
Correct.
Well, okay, so the knowing part is different, but the answer that I would say to this is for a lot of the problems that have been created by man, so the man-made problems, right? So not other problems, but stuff that we brought on ourselves, is generally the kind of things that out of that we can then, through us, because we created it, there's the other side of us or the other group of us that come with solutions how to counter that, right? So I remember reading back in New York at the before the advent of cars, there was so much horse manure on the streets in New York that they thought that they wouldn't be able to exist or take on. And then a whole solution came up with this entire teams that, I mean, apparently there was so much horse manure that they couldn't even get on, walk up steps and stuff. So, and a solution came as soon as that problem came up. It was a man-made solution to it. Same with our garbage. There's all kinds of solutions to our garbage. But, if you're talking extreme future, like way down the road, is man going to be extinct or is anything extinct? I mean, those are things that are proven as to the progressions of history and the planet. But for the things we're talking about today, the man-made problems, I personally believe that we have a lot of man-made solutions to those. So we're a long way off, that extinction for us. It would have to be something else outside of ourselves, which there's a lot of that, such as, a natural source or a natural disasters. But I would say that for man-made problems, I'll just deal with that. There's all kinds of man-made solutions to that, right? It always is.
Well
Great
said,
answer.
Brent. I would just have a quick statement on that too, is I believe the human body and the dynamic complexity that makes us, all the trillions of cells that are replacing themselves continuously, is very resilient, more than we could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we all have heard the saying before that in 7 years, every cell has replaced itself. You're a new actual being. That's why my mom always told me, you really don't know someone until you've known them for 7 years. Why is that? Because every cell in their body has been replaced completely renewed. We do have this amazing ability to renew, and Mother Nature does too. And so with the man-made solutions, which I agree with Brent on, and then remembering, and this is, you guys, why we're trying to connect some of this story we need to remember, that nature has this design and pattern and intelligence for which we cannot forget. We need to not move too far away. And we need to also pass that education and that knowledge, acknowledgement, awareness to our fellow man and next generation. I believe we're resilient. I don't think we're going anywhere. I think there's a bright future. Now, that might just be Jake's optimism too. It's a really good question. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that may not. There's going to be a population of people that are so sleeping, head buried in the sand, that they don't want to acknowledge that anyone outside that is telling them what to do may not have their best interest. That may not last. There will be a purging and cleansing of people who aren't aware and listening and doing, and not just being aware. Being aware is one part of the puzzle. It's about actually taking action and doing something about it, right? Making a discernment, a decision that I'm not putting that in my body anymore. I'm saying no to that, and that, because now I'm aware. That takes a discipline and a fire that not everyone has. Unfortunately, not everybody has that. And you guys can relate. Not everybody in your family has the discipline to do what they know is right and wrong. They just don't have the discipline to act and take action on it. And that those people will. But I believe there's enough that will, and that we have a bright future. But Sage, go ahead. What's the next question?
Perfect. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. You said it. Okay, so the next question is going to be, without biasism, do you stand by, is your honey the best?
Well, I'm very biased. Yes, it's
Yeah,
well,
well,
it's not that simple. Go ahead, Brent. Yeah, answer it.
I
Because there's
would
no
say we
such
just go
thing as
by
the best. Yeah.
yeah. Honey, as everybody knows, is a pretty healthy item to begin with. But the reason we feel that our honey is special, I'll put it that way, is because we know it's like where it's raised from, where it comes from, are very extremely healthy bees. So that's number one. So we know that because we deal with it and we help to create that. Then on top of that, we make sure that we don't heat it so it's raw honey, so it hasn't had any heat or killing of the enzymes. So we know we do that. So we can tell you that. And then the fact of the process of it being like a creamed honey versus that liquid honey that you've seen or been used to, because that crystallizes sometimes or whatever, which won't happen in this case because of the process. And then the taste, the feedback that we've had on the taste is, magnificent in the way it melts and it's not overly sweet. And so we feel with all of that. But that being said, we're in the process of the next month or two of actually testing. We want to test our honey against honey that you buy regularly in the store and so forth, because there's a lot, as with olive oil and different things, honey. A lot of times that you bought honey in the grocery stores, it's not even real honey; it's been mixed and so forth. So this is something that a lot of people don't know, and that's why it's
third most adulterated food.
Yeah, is honey. Yeah. So anyway, to answer the question, we feel it's a superior honey. Now, on top of that, then we take our frequency that we develop through the Chrysalis E, and again, the videos are on there, is that we infuse that or energize that honey with the highest possible earth frequency that we've developed, that we know it works, and expose it to that. And so then we look at that honey as a superior top honey for you. So that's we do specific things. It's not just a feeling. We do those things. We source it. We deal with it so that you can have the highest form of honey that we believe that you can purchase. And that's why. Okay, so that's the best way to answer your question. It's very succinct,
That's like asking, so do you feel that your kids, are the best kids? Well, some of you may say no, flat out. I've got kids. It's not always the case. Honey too, though, and remember, regional honey is completely day and night. The wildflowers, the pollen that's gained, the fruit trees, the vegetation, it's all going to create a unique dynamic, and which is beneficial for the local areas with allergens and things like this. But there's also an element that makes certain kinds of honey special. You've all heard of Manuka, right? That's from, where is that, New Zealand? That's over. Yeah. That's an area that has the Manuka plants for which the bees pollinate. And that's what makes it unique and special. Our honey is from this amazing, almost, what is it? It's the escarpment landscape, where ice wine, you guys, is famous. If you're not familiar with ice wine, it's where those grapes have frost. There's not a lot of long summers. It's like a nectar. It's hardy. It's very grounded in earth. And so when someone asks, is it the best honey? It's my favorite honey. And it's special for all those reasons that Brent said. But also, like Brent mentioned, it is special uniquely because of the honey coming from the hives that have our cells, and the unique process and quality control that we do before, during, and after every one of our jars goes out the door.
Yeah.
is that process.
And, and that's why it's called energized honey, because it truly is. So so we walk the walk on that, and we talk the talk. So there's no question onto that. You'd have to judge for yourself taste wise, but we've had nothing but high praise on that. But the value of it, we are absolutely convinced, regardless of anything else, is really good for you, right? So that's there's no doubt about that.
So we do have one more question. This one's a pretty good one, I think. So they were asking, the PureWave Self gives like good frequencies to the beehives, but have you found that hives near like a lot of EMF and negative frequencies, have you seen that in the offspring there's ever mutations, or they like fly weird?
Yeah, no, I'll answer that. Well, first of all, when we've taken on beekeepers and bee yards, more succinctly, first thing that we do is filter through. We just don't work with all beekeepers. What we do is we have a filtering or a vetting process as to where those hives are, what they're doing, because we already are under the belief that hives that are really close to 5Gs or put into those areas, they have all kinds of problems anyway. So we're not looking to go in and work with those beekeepers. The suggestion we have for those beekeepers is to get those hives somewhere else. And right, because now, that's like right into the fire, right? So, but to answer your question, have I seen what they look like? I have seen what they look like. They're very, like extremely agitated, but also like almost like they're out of nature, like they don't conduct themselves properly. It's more like that. It's the way they operate. Some of the stuff that we showed you on the film that Magda was showing you, they do weird stuff, and they start to like try to sting everything, whether it's your car or whatever. Like they're just out of whack, right? And so we suggest with beekeepers that they've got to move. So that's a locational thing. And there's no question, we're getting all kinds of feedback from all kinds of studies. There's no question that 5G has a big effect on beehives and bees. So there's just no two ways about that. That's a fact. So what Jake was referring to, the Grey Highlands, where we do a lot of our honey sourcing from. It's a huge area. It's an ecological system. It has a lot of wildflowers. So that's where we put a lot of our PureWave honey and from, but we're also dealing with beekeepers that are just struggling to make sure that they're doing the right things with their hives, but they're not affected as much by 5G. And we work a lot with them, with the cells, and then their queens and their nukes, and we financially help them because the public helps us. So it's a whole program. But in answering your question, yeah, we don't really deal with hives that are really heavily exposed to 5G. That's something we look to get them to migrate from. But we've seen what bees are like around them, and it's not normal. They're very much agitated. They're very much out of character, and so forth, like that.
Mm-hmm. Similar to humans.
Sounds like most of the population.
Who are glued to their phones instead of connecting and allowing. And what it does is the energy's disrupted the hive at disrupted them to do what they're naturally designed to do. And in a hive that's active and busy, but the bees are focused and their mission is being accomplished. They're all doing the drones are doing their job, the queen, the worker bee, everyone's doing their thing. You actually can go to a hive, no veil, no protection, and the chances of you being stung are almost zero. What happens is, and I still bundle up because, I don't want to get lit up and stung a lot, but you can tell when a hive is agitated or not. And there's various factors, right? It's also the neighbors who are spraying glyphosate all over their yard or their neighboring farm to kill the weeds because they want the perfect tomato plant with no weed attached to it or by it. The bees are out pollinating, doing their thing, and they're coming back weak and fatigued, and then they allow a mite to attach, and they're knocked out, and they're toast. So the same thing happening to us. You're on your phone all day. You don't eat good food. You stay up all night watching your Netflix show until 2 a.m. You get up at 6. you go to the computer, you eat Mickey D's for lunch, you come back, and then you go to the family party and you get food poisoning. While John, your brother, who's outside every day, there's no issue at all. He ate the same damn thing, same food, but you got knocked out. Why? Because you've been affected by the influence of present day stress differently. So again, we're hopefully, I know we're preaching to the choir for a lot of you guys. So we acknowledge that. We're not coming on our high horses at all. We just want to open up dialogue, give you a chance to also connect, ask questions, share your wisdom too, and learn together on Be Brave. That's our purpose here, you guys, is to be brave together. And we're just here. We are invited by Dr. Daryl and his son, Sage, to show up, to be present, and to be brave with you. And we thank you for being here and encouraging with those good questions. So keep them coming. Brent, go ahead. How are we doing on time?
I think it's pretty good. I think we've got that. Again, I would just like to add to what you said is that we're just here. We're here to bring solutions as well, awareness, but then also solutions. So we're not just talking about it. We're doing some things about it, bring you some things into your life that'll help you, that help us, and help the environment. So that those are things that we're doing. So it's for us, it's incredibly positive and inspiring. And you inspire us because we need to keep pushing ourselves for more and more, because it's so exciting. The more we get results that we're getting, the more we're looking to push for results. So that's where I stand at this stage of my life, is one of the only things that really excites me now, because I'm older, is the results of what it's doing, right? So it isn't about acquiring more things and stuff like that. That's, that was when I was younger. Now it's about what can I achieve? What can I do? What else can, and solving solutions is so exciting to me and to Jake. I know, because we talk about it every day. What else can we do? How can we do that? And we just ask the question. So same for you, is that when you ask the question is what can you do, then it's just what parts and things do you want to do? So that's the be brave part, where we say be brave, follow your instincts, and then go for that. And it's very exciting when you get to the other side.
And so what can you do? What are some next steps to take this information? One is to absolutely actually do nothing other than adopt and learn and absorb the knowledge, going and checking out and continuing asking questions and learning. Okay, that's the bare minimum for which you're going to be able to take action, move forward. If you want to try some of these products, the honey or the Pure Wave Cell, then access that at the store at DocoDetox.com, and you can access and get this as part of your life. Continue your education, enroll in those courses Daryl and Sage are teaching, expand your repertoire of knowledge, learn about the good foods, learn about how the bees are part of our ecosystem, and they're an indication species, everyone. What's happening to them and why this is so important and relevant to your health is what's happening to the bees is happening to us. But back to that really good question about is humanity going to survive all this stuff? And my answer is yes, is we have a high threshold to adapt and are resilient. We are. We do. So we can also change it. Subtle changes make also a profound impact. The removal of certain things. Revisit last week's show, everybody. Dr. Magda Havas, wonderful resource. She was in the video today too, colleague of ours, helping us with research. Really went over some amazing ways. Brent, I think you asked her about, or one of us asked her about how she protects her home from the EMF stuff. And she just went through like 15 things that she does to protect her environment. And it was really powerful that you don't be hopeless. There are wonderful solutions out there. Externally, there's consciously, subconsciously the information. Then there's the environment outside of us, right? Our living space, the bedroom, the home. And then there's the internal environment. what enters the body, what goes in, what comes out, what frequency words do we use? Sound, everybody, the sound you're listening to right now through the computer or phone has a frequency. The light image of myself and Brent and Sage is a frequency that's programming you. Surround yourself with amazing information and frequency, and you'll find that you shift and you become to shift. Say less to the pollution and more to the quality dilution components that dilute. My wife always says, dilution's the solution to pollution, right? You're hungover. What's the solution? Well, you get hydrated. So if you're polluted mentally or physically, well, guess what? Hydrate. Fill your soul. Fill yourself with positive flow of clean new frequency in, and things start to shift and change. Yeah. Any more questions? Any other comments, you guys?
We just had one question come in right now. They were just asking, will you guys carry royal jelly?
Yeah, we haven't looked into that as it is right now. There's certain in cases there's limited qualities of that quantities from where we are, and they'd like to feed that back in a certain way. But I think when we come across where we feel it's really the best royal jelly, or that we have a good source for it, because for us, if we put it out there, we don't want to have people where they can't get it. So we're looking into that. But that'll be and bee pollen. Those will be things that'll come next. So we are looking into that as we develop on and find that it's a really high quality. So yeah, we'll be doing that. And next week, just so on that note, next week, everybody, we're bringing on beekeeper Jackie, who's one of the beekeepers, and a lot of what's gone on with her and what's going on there, because it's very detailed. So don't miss next week when we'll be really talking about what we're doing with the bees in a very specific way, so you can get a whole peek right in what's going on with the hive, looking at it start to finish right from the beekeeper. So do tune in next week, and we'll show you what's going on.
We also have some future episodes where we get into the nuts and bolts, the nitty-gritty of really the benefits of honey, those supportive enzymes. And we can talk about the royal jelly benefits. I know there's quite a bit with regeneration and cholesterol and even like anti-cancer components. So we'll get into the bee pollen and just the powerhouse, more nutritional type show about that. And then we'll also have one of our colleagues share with you, and this will be fun, a bunch of healthy recipes that you may or may not be aware of that you can use the Pure Wave honey, any honey really, but we advise and recommend our Pure Wave frequency charged honey, but there'll be a recipe and recipes that you'll be able to download from the library and apply it into your life. We really want to make this practical, you guys. Part of this is we're talking a lot of theory, concepts, and ideas, but part of this show is to get real and grounded and make things practical for you to use in your life. And we understand a great idea has so much value, so much profound. It can transform a nation. It can transform a world, a great idea. But an idea put into action is where really things shift, right? If a great idea never is implemented, and you taught this to me, Brent, you said, hey, Jake, there's a million amazing ideas in the world. Let's see how we can move these concepts and make them reality and work in the lives of people and the beekeeper and the bees. So keep it simple.
That was there's actually a saying, one of my favorite sayings on that, Jake, which is, all the armies in the world can't stop an idea whose time has come. So, right. So when the idea has come and when we know what we're doing, there's nothing can stop it. Nothing ever has. So we will be a force to be reckoned with, all of us.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. That is it for the questions. Next week, everybody, we will be on, as we said, they're going to be bringing on a beekeeper, so that's going to be amazing. We're going to dive more into actually what functions and how the bees function and their livelihood. So please join us for that. So thank you, Brent. Thank you, Jake, for your time today. We love learning more about the bees and how it affects us. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. We will catch you in the next one. Thank you, Braveheart Nation, for joining. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Be
you.
brave. Be brave.
Be brave.
Be happy.